वो है सॉफ्टवेयर आर्किटेक्चर एंड डिज़ाइन। सॉफ्टवेयर आर्किटेक्चर एंड डिज़ाइन। आर्किटेक्चर क्या होता है? आर्किटेक्चर की ज़रूरत क्यों पेश आती है और आर्किटेक्चर क्या होता है, इसकी एक्सप्लेनेशन पहले है कि अगर आपके पास कोई सिंपल डिज़ाइन हो तो सिंगल पर्सन जो है वो उसका आर्किटेक्चर बना सकता है। और आर्किटेक्चर में होता क्या है, मिनिमम मॉडलिंग, सिंपल प्रोसेस और सिंपल टूल, तीन चीज़ें। अगर अगर आपका जो प्रोजेक्ट है वो छोटा है तो उसमें सिर्फ आप सिंपलेस्ट मॉडलिंग दे दें और प्रोसेस बता दें और टूलिंग बता दें तो आपका जो है वो उस आर्किटेक्चर की वजह से, उस डिज़ाइन की मदद से उस प्रोजेक्ट को कंप्लीट किया जा सकता है। अगर आपका प्रोजेक्ट बड़ा हो तो बिल्ड मोस्ट एफिशिएंटली एंड टाइमली बाय टीम, तो फिर क्या करते हैं, उसका आर्किटेक्चर टीम बनाती है। एक बंदा नहीं बनाता बल्कि टीम बनाता है। उसके अंदर उस आर्किटेक्चर की मॉडलिंग, उसका प्रोसेस और उसका टूल एक्सप्लेन किया जाता है। अगर लार्ज स्केल पे हो और बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट हो तो फिर आपके पास क्या चीज़ें आती हैं, उसका स्केल, उसका प्रोसेस, उसकी कॉस्ट, उसकी स्केजुलिंग, स्किल एंड डेवलपमेंट टीम की करेक्टरिस्टिक, मटेरियल एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, स्टेक होल्डर, रिस्क, तो सारी चीज़ें जो है आर्किटेक्चर में बताई जाती हैं। तो यानी इट डिपेंड ऑन द साइज ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट that who can create architecture and what are the requirement of an architecture. If a project is on large scale, then there should be more parameter to include in architecture so that we can minimize the risk and we can speed up the process, scheduling, time, cost, everything is described in that architecture.
Excuse me,
Definition
sir.
architecture की according to IEEE, software architecture is a
Excuse me, sir.
fundamental organization. Fundamental organization of what? Components and their relationship. Organization of system along with component and their relationship to each other and the environment and the principle governing its design. Main thing is fundamental organization, components, their relationship, and the principles used to govern these projects to design and evaluation. Principle is also part of architecture. According to Buch is another scientist in software engineering and project management. According to Buch, software architecture is comprises of significant decisions about the organization, including selection of structural elements and their interfaces and behavior. According to Buch, the important things are structural elements, interfaces to interact with these structural elements and their behavior. Bohem is another scientist, another researcher of software engineering. A software system architecture comprises of collection of software system component, connection and constraints. Collection is system stakeholders and their need statements. And rationale. Rationale is the definition or demonstration of component, their connection, and their constraint. You can say rationale is description of component, connection, and constraint, and also the needs of stakeholder. Rationale basically description. Selecting an architecture, selection process depends on stakeholder needs, their concern, and their limitation. Needs like a website, whether stakeholder need a website, whether need a desktop application, whether need a mobile app, whether need a database, whatever the need of the stakeholder, you have to know before selecting an architecture. Another thing is concern. What are the concerns of the user? Whether he is security conscious, whether he need unlimited access, ease of use, reliability, availability, possibility of failure, backup. Some users are conscious about backup. They so if my system crash, what will happen with my data? Then there should be support of backup also. Then their concern is about backup. These are different examples of concerns of the stakeholder. Another thing is the limitation or restriction. Number of user, memory, resources, type of data being used as input, output format, etc. These all things are needed to decide the selection of architecture. And this is a framework. This is taken from Somerville Edition 10 Software Engineering book, figure 6.2. And this is the selection of architecture, and this selection depends on these features. What are these features? What will be the fundamental approach used to structure the system? Fundamental approach, then generic application architecture, then act as a template for system that is being designed. Is there any template to implement this system? How will be the system be distributed across hardware, cores or processor? What will the need of hardware, core, processor, or whether in a local environment or distributed environment? You have to know about this. What architectural pattern or style might be used? Architectural pattern. We will learn about architectural pattern. There are a number of patterns for which like software development life cycle methodologies. Like in software engineering, there are methodologies. Also, there are different architecture. These are called patterns, architectural patterns. What strategy will be used to control the operation of the component in the system? Strategy also defines how should the architecture of the system be documented. Documentation about the system is also concerned. What architectural organization is best for delivering the non-functional requirement of the non-functional requirement are all about the quality of the system. We also organize to deliver the quality of the system. How will the structural component in the system decompose into subsystem? We also have to know about if there is a big system, how this big system can be distributed into subsystem. We also have to know about it. When we know all these features, then can we decide the selection of an architecture? What will be the suitable architecture for that particular project? Example of an architectural diagram. Let's suppose there is a system. The diagram shows an abstract model of the architecture for packing robot system. Here is a robot system. The job of this robot is to pack the material. And how this perform? There is a vision means there is a camera which will decide which type of packaging should be necessary for this material. And here robotic system can pack different kind of object. One characteristic is can pack different kind of object. It uses a vision component to pick out objects and conveyor. The camera decides on artificial intelligence base that which type of material or packing material should be required to pack this certain luggage. Select the right kind of packaging, then system move object from delivery conveyor to the package. Delivery conveyor take from delivery conveyor and pack it into package. It places package object on other conveyor. Take from one conveyor, pack it and send to other conveyor. And this is the brainstorming about architecture. What is the component of architecture? Like here is a robot, here is report control panel, then HMI and robot stand, case conveyor, product conveyor, system control panel, safety guard, and
Excuse me, sir.
pneumatics. These are the different parts of this system. Here we show in architecture diagram. Another
Excuse me, sir.
diagram, like what is the interaction, like we have seen that in architecture there is a component, there is description of component, there is a relationship or connection between the component. Here we show the components and their relationship. Like vision system is connected with object identification system, is also connected with arm controller, also connected with gripper controller. Like vision, when he sees some object, he will decide which type of gripper or which length of gripper is required to pick that object. Then arm controller, that how far is object. Then arm of robot controlled by vision system. Then object identification is also connected with the vision system. Then this object identification is concerned with the packaging selection system and packaging system. This as a whole it is connected with packaging system. And inside packaging system there are subsystem packaging selection and packaging system. And here is a conveyor controller who where they they send the packaged packet to the conveyor controller. And this is the diagram to show the relationship or connection between different objects of the system. Common elements, architecture define major component. Okay, then architecture define component relationship and interfaces. Interfaces where to communicate with that particular component is called interfaces. Interaction and relationship is defined, component is defined. The third one is omit content information. In architecture, we doesn't define the content of component, but would be the inside the component. Here only focus on component and their relationship, not what are the constituents or what are the subcomponents of a component. Behavior of component is part of architecture insofar as it can be distinguished from point of view of another component. Behavior is also part of architecture. What is not part of architecture? Content information of a component is not part of architecture. Every system has an architecture, even a system composed of one component. It is not necessary that system has architecture if it has more than one component. Only one component can have a architecture. Architecture defines the rationale behind the component and the structure, and architecture don't define what a component is. This is also repeated. Architecture is not a single structure. Now, no single structure is the architecture. Architecture not a single structure, but combination of different structures can be. Architecture is early. Architecture represents the set of earliest design decisions, hardest to change, most critical to get right. Most critical to get right. Architecture is the best design artifact where a system's quality attribute are addressed. First design is called architecture. Before developing a system, you design architecture. And architecture serves as a blueprint for the system, but also the project. Um, what are the ingredients of this blueprint? Yeah, it contains team structure, it contains documentation, organization, it contains work breakdown structure, it contains scheduling, planning, budgeting, unit testing, integration. All these are the contents of architecture. Architecture derives all these factors. Architecture establishes the communication and the coordination mechanism among components. Okay. We take now a break. After break, we start second class, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.